Brother Mike, I think you were on mute, so we need to have you do that one more time because nobody can hear you. So let's hit that one more time.
All right, I think we're having some technical difficulties with you, brother Mike, but we'll come back to you because I know you were saying some wonderful things. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm Felton Fouché, and the usual host of Grown Folks Business, NC100's Thursday evening programming. Tonight we have a special edition of the show. We're aligning with Black Empowerment Week, and we're going to highlight some special people who have some special interests in the communities that they serve, and they're going to tell us about themselves and their business ventures and what they do in their communities. Sorry about the abrupt transition, and if we get Brother Mike up before we begin, let me know, and we can definitely go back and hear those words that we couldn't before. Otherwise, we'll move on and maybe circle back. Anybody out there to bring the panel? Yeah, bring the panelists up, please. If we can't get Mike's audio corrected. Welcome, Dr. Eric Kelly, first and foremost. Miss Fiona Shivers, I think I said that correctly. And Miss Monica Gibbs. Yeah, glad to have you guys. How's everyone doing this evening?
Doing great. How are you?
Great. Good to see you all. I'm excited to be here with you to learn more about what you all do. So I'll go this way, and it's the most simplistic way that I know how to do it. I'll give each one of you a couple minutes to tell us about yourselves, what you're doing, and why you're here. I know the main topic is networking. Introductions are always the beginning of that. So I'm going to start with Miss Fiona Shivers.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Fiona Shivers. I am a partnering manager with Greenleaf Canvassing. I'm also the owner of Earth Essentials Wellness Center, and I'm the founder of Sankofa Tree, a Black cooperative. I am here in Raleigh. I'm here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I work across the country with my business and out of the country with my wellness center, in and out the country. So grateful to be here, grateful to be amongst other Black entrepreneurs.
Thank you for sharing that. I can tell from what you shared with us about yourself, some of your passions. Is there anything that you want to stress or highlight?
Passions.
What are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about animals. I'm passionate about life. I am one that I love everything. I love nature. I love people. That's why I have a wellness center. I believe in everything should be natural because God gave us everything that we need here on this earth. And I find that when we are connected with God and His earth, that we live a healthier, longer, and more peaceful life. I believe in social activism and organizing. So anything that I can do in the community to uplift my people, equity-wise, race equity-wise, education-wise, I'm all for it. My passion is my people. I'm all day long my people. So education, wellness, health, and equity. Those are my passions.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing those things about yourself. And hello to some of you people that are out there in cyberland joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Hey, Portia, and good to know that you're tuning in and supporting this cause. Miss Monica Gibbs, 2 minutes about yourself, and you can throw in what you're passionate about.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Monica Gibbs. I am the founder of Gibbs Public Affairs, where I do advocacy for social justice and community projects. I am an activist. I do a lot of community organizing, a lot of political activism work. I am a lobbyist and just a person that just loves advocating for people, working on policies and legislative issues, just anything surrounding the community and making things fair for others is what I'm passionate about. And so that's what I do, work with lots of different nonprofits and special projects, any projects that are community related or having to do with social justice issues is where I bring my voice to the table. So glad to be here. Thank you.
So thanks for sharing that. Dr. Eric Kelly, 2 minutes about yourself and what you're passionate about.
Well, I'm passionate about money. That's what I'm passionate about. You know, I say that, and I'm sincere about it because I believe that money is the closest thing to air. And I like for people out there in cyberland to understand that sometimes we don't do the numbers. If we would take the time and do the numbers, we would make a lot of money. I run the Black Business Expo, which is an organization that gives scholarships to kids every year. We give out $1,000 and laptop computers out to 10 kids each year. We do the Black Business Expo here in Durham, North Carolina. But more importantly, I really believe in people and our youth. And I believe that we as older people need to step across that line and stop being afraid of our kids and see what we can do to help them to do better. A lot of times you don't see strong Black men at the forefront, but we are always around. And so that's really what I'm all about. The Black Business Expo is one of the largest business showcases for the last 30 years right here in North Carolina. And as a matter of fact, we're doing the Black Business Expo next week on this same channel. And we look forward to everybody tuning in because we're doing 24 hours with 100 speakers from across the country on a 24-hour Black Business Network. And I think that's going to be great.
Man, sounds like you're a pretty busy guy, and I'm gonna not disregard the money comment, but you got to people pretty fast. So far we batting 300 with people being the most important thing. Mr. Farmer, tell us about yourself and what you're passionate about.
Well, right now I am coming off of 21 years in the professional sports industry, and I am interested, or I say what I'm passionate about mostly is political and economic ties. I have a background in PR and in digital marketing, but what I'm really, really passionate about are finances / economics, politics. Obviously, there's some sports in there because it's hard to work someplace for 21 years and not be passionate about it. So there's that, but I also really, really enjoy and I'm very passionate about travel. And I've been fortunate over the last couple of years to do some more than a couple of years, but over probably the last 10 years to do a lot of extensive travel, both domestically and internationally. And so that's been something that I've explored and I really enjoy and I really, really miss. And I'm looking forward to getting back to that very soon.
Wow. Sounds like you all make up for an awesome panel. So I want to make sure I get a little housekeeping out of the way. We're a little informal here on Grown Folks Business. I want to keep that same vibe going. If you have something that you definitely want to contribute to the conversation, just give me a hand up or something that lets me know that you want to say it, and I'll come to you when there's a moment to do so. But we know tonight's topic is centered on networking. I have to say, for what every one of you are doing, every one of the things that you all are doing and involved in, I'm sure that networking was a significant part of getting to where you are and continues to be to get where you're trying to go. So with that being understood, I'm going to start with Miss Gibbs. Tell me some things that are important to you concerning networking, and if you can give me an example of how you go about exercising the networking muscle.
Oh, wow. So networking for me has been the most important part of my career. Like everything you do in community organizing, activism, working campaigns, the legislative work that I do, has all been pushed and fueled by the relationships that I've built. And so I tell people all the time, relationships are everything, because they are, because everything we do comes through some form of human connection or interaction, right? And so being able to have relationships in the communities, just being able to call on certain people on different platforms have been really integral for everything that I do. Maybe an example, just a few weeks ago, I was on a national summit. And since that summit, I've already had 6 meetings from people that were also on there. And from those 6, there'll be more, because once you connect with one person, it's always several more people that you may need to connect with. And sometimes for me, the networking may not come in a way where I can, it can be an advantage for me, but then I'm always able to connect someone to someone else. And so for me, that has been a large part of everything I've done. This opportunity here is came through networking. And so definitely a part of what I do.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Miss Fiona, so based on everything you just heard Miss Gibbs share, can you also can you potentially expand upon your ideas around networking and its importance based on an example or a time that you knew you had to step up and go speak to somebody you might not otherwise do that with? So do you have a good example for us?
Oh, I can pull out an example. Everything Ms. Gibbs stated is very important, and her being a lobbyist and activist, she pointed that out. My field, my business, Greenleaf Canvassing, came from me being an organizer and an activist, and the networking portion as a canvasser requires to do face-to-face one-on-ones with people in order to be a messenger, number one, and just being a messenger to people in the community to let them know what you have going on is extremely important to get them to be part of your cause. The networking portion example I want to give is not just towards business, but towards upliftment. I go to one person just take my position as a director at this time, working as a regional director in canvassing at this time. And I go to one person looking for someone who might want to come work in my office, brand new office, someone I know, friend, family. This one person brought me 5 people. Out of that one person who brought me 5 people, one of those people brought me 5 more people. I only had to go to one person and ended up with an office full of employees through that contact with that one person, who then, when they met me, I had contact with another person who then brought the rest of my office. And to this day, that entire office are still employees of the same company. I'm no longer with the company, but they are still now regular seasonal employees with that company. But it came from knowing someone. But within that knowledge of knowing them, more connections had been built, and I was able to expand out with more offices and new people from, oh, I know someone who does this and might be interested in your work, or someone hearing about what I do and they reaching out for maybe me coming to their church or coming to their office to come speak to employees. And the relationships are built there, where something where I thought I was just trying to look for an employee turned out to be me now being a client, or them now being a client of mine of a company that I'm not even affiliated with that organization anymore, where we are now doing regional, national work across the country. So these things are extreme. Where I thought I was getting an employee, I end up getting a client and end up being a national client. So these relationships, I never turn a cheek to anyone. You never know who you're speaking with. And I never doubt anyone that I'm speaking with. I give everyone the same equal opportunity in conversation to get to know someone, because I'm that way. When you talk to me, I'm not gonna give you an elevator pitch every time I meet you. You know, I might listen to see what you have going on first and see what common relationships we may have, and then something you may say, like Mr. Farmer said he's into sports and politics. I happen to be a coach, and I have to be a political canvassing company. Never knew that, never knew him. So these are important things.
So to expand upon that, you established a reputation during your networking process, and it allowed you to reap the benefits of getting some good employees, some good people to come into your business when you were at that company. That's
not so much as just a reputation, just being friendly conversation, getting to know the people that were walking into the office. You didn't even have to establish much of a relationship, get much of a reputation. A relationship, which is what came first, that relationship. And from that relationship, more relationships were built. And from that point on, that's when the reputation was expounded upon.
So let me transition to Mr. Farmer with those ideas that you shared at the end, as far as what I consider some forms of etiquette in interactions with people. How important is it? And definitely go back if you need to, and if you desire, Mr. Farmer, and unpack your ideas around networking. But tack on to that how important it is to conduct yourself in a certain way.
It's very interesting that you brought that up, because I was milling in my mind an idea around, there are the strong and positive parts of networking, but there's also those parts on the back end where you have to watch how you treat, as Fiona mentioned before, how you treat other people that you're working with. And I have a prime example, but in the world that I'm from sports, it's a very, very small world. There are other industries that are much larger. If you're talking about just being a lay lawyer, or if you're talking about being an accountant, or the medicinal field. So if you work in Jefferson County, Mississippi, working in medicine as a nurse, you can also do that in Alaska, Alaska, or you can do that in Texas. But when it comes to professional sports, you are really locked into about 32 cities in America, and that's it. And so because of that, and because of the industry size, it's very important that you keep positive business relationships with a lot of the people that you not only work with, but people that you come in contact with. And an example of that, of not doing that, or not doing that, I'll give an example of something that actually happened within my organization. I'm going to change some names and some things, some situations, but quickly, an example is we had a senior, let's call it senior financial officer. The senior financial officer had a junior financial officer that had worked with this person probably for 3 or 4 years. The senior person had hired the junior person. Now, at some point in the relationship, the junior person and the senior persons continue to drift further and further apart within the finance department, to the point where there was an issue that came up around the 4th year of that junior finance officer's career. And so the junior finance officer burned a bridge with their senior finance officer. And of course, things are going to happen from that point. The senior financial officer is the person who has been with the organization for the longest time, and also has been in this world of sports for the longest time. So as the junior person separates from the organization, the junior person then is looking for job opportunities within the world of sports. Problem is, the senior officer is someone who has been in sports for 20 plus years. They have connections not only with people in the NBA, but they also have connections with people in the NHL, people in the NFL, so on and so forth. And let's say it's an executive vice president position that we're talking about this senior officer being a part of. And so this junior financial officer is having a very, very difficult time finding a new position after burning that bridge, because you just can't burn bridges in any old way in sports in a small industry like what I have. And so that kind of goes back to what Fiona was saying and what you were asking me about specifically, which is like you do need to, be able to stand your ground when you need to stand your ground, but you also need to understand the size of your industry and what's happening in your world. Because if you're trying to make a move within that same industry, but you've burnt too many bridges, it's going to be difficult for you to continue to exist in that industry.
So, wow. So you're actually talking about not just networking on your way in, but networking while you're there and understanding the ramifications of mis-networking or failing to network at points.
Exactly. And just understanding your industry, but also understanding that it doesn't matter if it's necessarily just your senior VP that's ahead of you. It could be the intern that's coming up, because you never know how talented that intern is that's coming up. And you as a seasoned executive may feel that, oh, well, I've been here for so and so long and I can treat people the way that I want to. But that intern may be someone who is extraordinarily talented at what they do. Next thing you know, not only are they a colleague, they may actually be your senior at some point. So you need to be very cognizant of how you treat and how you network with your coworkers and also other people within the industry. And that notice that you need to make an attempt, at least on a social level, to not make to stratify your relationship with others, because that's sometimes that can also be a no for network.
Don't overstep. I got you.
Right.
Yeah, and that's all a point of that professional demeanor that one should carry. Dr. Kelly, so that was in my opinion a highbrow observation, Farmer, and that very much needed. A firm handshake, Dr. Kelly, is that still a thing? Does that matter in networking these days?
Well, yes, it does. Yes, it does. But I wanted to kind of go backwards just a little bit, because it seemed to me that we've gone so far away from the rudimentary part of networking, and I want to go all the way back to high school, when you see the guy who is the most popular guy and you're trying to figure out, why is that guy so popular? And networking gets you indoors, it gets you to the best seats, it gets you everything that you want to get to if you do it properly. I think if you sit here and you think about PR, which Monica is talking about, your presence and who you are as a young person changes when people look at you in a particular way. And a lot of times people don't think about the networking part of just, hey, how you doing? Appreciating somebody for something that they're doing, just listening to some people. The most important part to me in terms of networking, because I sold cards at one time, I've sang and danced and been on stage and been with a lot of places, but the only reason I was able to get to the most of those places is by networking with people, because you don't know who has the hand that's going to make the move that's going to get you where you're going. It's a lot of times people talk about it's who that count. It's never who it's who knows you. That really is the thing that counts, because I can remember in high school, everybody knew me in high school, but my thing is I talk to everybody. And it reminds me of the Barack Obama and the Hillary Clinton piece. When Hillary Clinton was getting ready to run, everybody just said Hillary was going to be the person. Barack Obama, what he did was he showed up and he spoke to everybody, to all the crowds, to everybody. He went everywhere. And before she knew it, he was the guy. And the reason he was the guy was because of the kind of networking. When McCain said to him that they was going to do campaign finance, he said, no, I'm just going to let people give me $5 and $10. And so that was a real serious network that he did that really changed the whole political landscape, because now who are the $5 and $10 people? That's your average person, including all of the millionaires and billionaires that stood behind also. when you ask that question about that firm handshake, that handshake is just like saying hello to somebody. Somebody gives you a weak handshake, there is no confidence there. So that's what I would say about the whole networking piece, because I believe that when you do proper networking, in general, people will know it. And when you go into a room, people will say, "Oh, he's here." You know, my thing when I go into a room, I try to speak to everybody in that room, because I don't know who's going to be the next person. I ran Kelly Worldwide for years, and one of the things that I found out early on, my grandmother taught me, you don't discount any human beings. You always try to find out how you can serve. And I believe that networking and serving runs hand in hand.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. And I think those were really wonderful things that everyone imparted to the audience. So I'm going to come back around the space. And again, if there's something burning and you just have to say it, let me know. But Ms. Gibbs, I'm going to ask you, in terms of networking, keeping that in the picture, is there anyone that you can recall specifically in your life that kind of gave you some ins and outs as to how to do and be a strong networker? Or is there someone that you just kind of paid attention to before you formulated your approaches to networking?
I think now that I've learned the skill of networking and I've learned how to apply it to my career and everything I've done, just looking back, growing up and seeing some of the Black community leaders that were in my community. I'm from a county of maybe a little over 12,000, so very small population. So there were a handful of leaders, and I remember always seeing the same ones over and over on different boards or running different programs or on, different leadership positions, but they were the same people. And so I remember watching those people and seeing who these leaders were. But it wasn't until later when I was was able to do some of the things that I've done where I'm able to connect those dots. This is why they were these same people over and over on these platforms and in these spaces, because of the networking. And so it's become real for me, because once I think Dr. Kelly spoke to it, people know you and they know you're going to show up and they know that you network well. They call on you and they ask you to come. And so I was able to, just looking back and just remembering those community leaders and how they did things and how they showed up and how they presented themselves. And that's helped me better serve as a networker.
Oh, great response. Someone else want to tell us about your networking mentor or someone you watched and observed and help you reach the understanding of how important and critical networking is and how important it is to be a good networker? I think that reputation thing comes back up in that. Dr. Kelly, you have someone you follow?
When you asked that question, I was sitting here thinking about a guy who I think was probably one of the best networking guys, and he wasn't a loud and boisterous guy. He was quiet and unassuming. His name was Charles McKnight, and he sold 30 cars a month. I would never forget this guy because he quit selling cars during the summer and went to law school and came back to the car dealership and kept selling 30 cars every month. And you got to understand, it takes a lot of networking and a lot of listening. And I tell people a lot of times, we don't listen sometimes when we're networking. People spend a lot of time hearing what they're saying and not listening to other people. But yeah, Charles McKnight, Kenny Beckford, these are some guys that I watched. But my grandmother, who was a leader here in Durham, North Carolina, she was an awesome networker because she was a AFL-CIO leader. She was a negotiator. She was that lady who stood there when Black people wanted more money. She was the lady that negotiated with white folk to ensure that Black people got money. So those are some of the kinds of things that I think about when you ask that question. But I want to pose a question to Michael. while we're here. Mike, when you begin to talk about sports and this whole sports arena and how small it is, what would you say to our young people in terms of how to get in, into that arena? I just wanted to ask that question.
Doc and Mike, if you can give me one moment, just put a pin in that for 1 second, because I know Miss Fiona unmuted herself and she had something she wanted to say. But I wanted to stick for one moment. I will not forget what you guys just were discussing. But I wanted to stick to one moment to elevating someone who displayed some networking skills that you picked up on. But I want to throw in one other caveat: the importance of personality and the importance of practice. So, Ms. Fiona, if you could tell us what you were thinking and throw those things in with it.
I was going to say that my first experience with true networking came from my freshman year in college. I went to a predominantly white college, NC State, and I was there for the pre-vet program. And in my particular program, it wasn't a lot of us. And as a freshman, NC State brings, I don't know how many people are familiar, but they bring all the Black students in 2 weeks early prior to everyone else to have a round table and to tell you, when you pass your fellow students in the street, you speak to them. When you get into the classroom, you sit to the front. Even if you all are not in the same school, NC State has multiple schools inside of the school. If you're not in the same program and you're not in the same schools, you make sure you speak to whoever you see during this orientation out on the sidewalks, out on the streets, because right now, it looks like a lot of you all, but when everyone joins together, you're going to see that small 5% that you actually are here. And that stuck with me then, because I was always a talker, always a speaker, but I am a New Yorker, so I was never one to approach first, so I wait till someone approached me. And I guess you can mix that with a little shyness. But I remember that first day on campus, we were all integrated. And I was going to my class of 200 students, and I'm looking around trying to see how many people is in this trigonometry class with me over here on Thompson Hall, taking English with me. And it was maybe one or two other persons of color, not necessarily Black. And I didn't see anyone from orientation whatsoever. But as soon as that class was over and I stepped out on that yard, or I walked through that tunnel, hey, what's up, so-and-so? They're coming from the engineering hall. We're meeting up in the expression tunnel. Well, what's going on tonight? Well, where's everybody going to meet up at? Had it not been for that encouragement during orientation to speak to your fellow Black students along the way, I probably would have never known anyone other than 2 or 3 people. And half of those were the people that I left high school with in college, because there were very few people of color during my year at NC State in the program in which I was in. So that was a spark that showed me how important it was just to get to know people around you in your surroundings, regardless if you think they're going to be in your network or not, because you don't know who you're going to connect with later.
So that networking at that stage of your academic career allowed you to maintain or attain a level of support that otherwise may not have been there. Great story. Mr. Farmer, keeping Dr. Kelly's question to you in mind, can you incorporate some ideas around who you also kind of watched or followed in terms of enhancing your ability to network? And I know the question was centered around getting into the professional sports business, young people. So if you need to repackage that, let me know, Dr. Kelly. Otherwise, run with it, Farmer.
Yeah, well, addressing Dr. Kelly's question and also wrapping in what you're talking about, Felton. If you have a passion for something, you're going to find ways to incorporate that into whatever it is that you do. And then you get to the point as you're getting older and you're matriculating through college and whatnot, to incorporate that desire. So Dr. Kelly, I always, since probably 1986, I assume, I guess I was like 11 years old in 1986. I started following basketball. And so I would keep up with stats, I keep up with personnel, I kept up with all that stuff starting that young. And as I got older, I continued to keep up with that passion and follow that passion up to the point where I got to the University of North Carolina and I became a member of the Carolina Athletic Association. And then I became a board member my senior year. I was fortunate enough to have had gotten an internship with the United States Olympic Committee while I was in college as well, which was a huge jump for me. That took me out of Chapel Hill and put me in Lake Placid, New York for 4 months. And that I was always at that point, there's no holding hands, there's no learning stuff. You know, don't, and you will learn as you get there. There's a base competency that the United States Olympic Committee is looking for. And so at that time, which was 1996, I was able to go into that job and that internship and learn a lot about the business itself. Then from that point, getting from there to graduating to the Miami Heat is a much longer story, and there's a lot of twists and turns that I don't think that we have. Like, I don't think 2 hours is going to be able to hold that conversation. But what I will say is you need to be
Farmer. No, just to give you maybe take your mic away from your collar. I'm not sure what's causing it, but something's interrupting.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll try to do that. Do I sound better now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I feel like you need to go back, man. You were saying some good stuff, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, so go back about maybe 15 beats in your conversation. Go back about 15 beats.
Okay,
yeah.
so quickly, basically, there was a lot that transpired between the time that I was working for the United States Olympic Committee and the time that I ended up started working for the Heat. A lot of twists and turns that we don't have 2 hours to go over or for me to complete. But what I will say is that it takes a lot of perseverance. Perseverance is very important to what you're trying to do to get from that point to the next point. And also networking is a huge part of that. Knowing the people in your surroundings. And also just being focused on what it is that you're attempting to do. Like have a goal associated with you, where you want to be as you're trying to build your career. Now, to go back to the actual who I patterned myself after, there are several people at the Heat that I learned a lot from as far as networking is concerned. Probably chief amongst them was a woman named Sybil Wilson. Sybil Wilson was for a long time our administrative coordinator / manager. And eventually she became the senior director of our administration for the buildings. So that's taking care of everybody in the mailroom, everybody, everything as far as conferencing is concerned, all the administrative things that need to take place in a business. But Sybil, here's the thing about Sybil. Sybil had a huge booming personality. Everybody loved Sybil. Sybil would go out. She could say anything she wanted to or do anything she wanted to just because she had built that level of trust and competency within the office. And also she was a day one employee. So she's someone who had been with the Heat since the first game, before the first game. But with that said, she knew everybody. And you would watch Sybil as she interacted with people. And while she treated everybody well, she knew people or had gotten to know people through her networking skills. She had gotten to know people well enough to know what their needs are. If this needs to be a short conversation, or is this a come on in the office, have some M&Ms, let's talk for a half hour. And it might not be about sports. It might be about something else. It might not be about that. It might be about this. So she tailored her personality and her interactions based on the person that she was dealing with in a business setting. And it didn't matter if you were in video production. It didn't matter if you were an assistant coach. It didn't matter if you were starting player. It didn't matter if you were the vice president of legal. Didn't matter who you were. She treated everybody well because she knew she had to service everybody on a certain level, and she treated everybody well. So that would be the person. And I mean, she knew everybody in the building. There are people that work in my arena, my old arena, who some people work on the 5th floor, some people work on the 2nd floor, and they both worked there for over a decade, and they don't know each other. But Sybil knew everyone, and that's a very, very important thing to be able to know so many more people within your business. I mean, obviously you want to network outside of your business, but within your business as well.
So it sounds to me like Sybil and Dr. Kelly, the gentleman you mentioned, were always networking, even when they weren't, and even when they didn't have to be. It's just it becomes a habit, and it becomes something that you don't know you're benefiting from if you're having the conversation with someone like Miss Sybil. That's wonderful to hear. Miss Gibbs, I'm coming to you with a new question, and everybody else get the gears turning, because this is centered around how do you use social media? How beneficial is it for what you do? It is networking 101 in my book. If you have a presence on social media, then you are doing some type of networking. So how do you make that work best for you, Ms. Gibbs?
So for me, definitely social media is something that I use. I always tell people, let people know where you are serving, whatever organization I'm a part of, whatever I'm doing. It's not about boasting or bragging. It's about letting your network know where you are. If any of you get on tomorrow and post anything, I'm paying attention to what project you're working. If Miss Fiana's talking about her organization, I want to know who she's employing, who's a part of this. Soon as I get on a website, the first thing I do is go to the board, because 9 times out of 10, I know somebody on the board that I can call for whatever reason. And so social media for me has been huge. I know last year there was a post, Kamala Harris was doing some work centered around Black maternal health. And at the time I was working a project for Mecklenburg Department of Public Health that was centered around reproductive justice. And so I commented on the post, and lo and behold, there was a doctor who worked for a research company that was reading the post. And before you know it, I got an inbox. I need your voice on a program that I'm doing. And so a few weeks later, I was on a national webinar speaking about Black maternal health from a comment. And so just being a part of conversations, paying attention, making sure you're a part of the right conversations, not the wrong ones, the ones that are important to you, and staying in your lane, and just paying attention, and being aware of what's being posted, and then also being strategic about what you're putting out there. I'm very, very careful with everything that I put on social media. There's always either some type of hashtag, somebody that I'm mentioning, or there's something where I'm going with it beyond just them looking at a picture or some words. And 9 times out of 10, like every time I post, there's something that comes from it. And so that's the way that I use it.
Sounds like you have it mastered. I actually am terrible with those things, so I may need to hire you for some consultation. Miss Fiana, tell me about your use of social media in building what you're doing and showing it to everyone, and also as a networking tool.
Well, for me, social media plays a major part in one business aspect, whereas with my canvassing company, I really have to be actually very low key. Our clients may come from a C3 side and may come from a C4 side, and a lot of them like to be in the background. That's why they hire me. I am the face for the work that they want to do, so they want to stay low key. So in regards to my canvassing company with Greenleaf Canvassing, I have to do the back channel work. So I have to go in through the organization. And as Ms. Gibbs can tell you, like she said, she probably can go to the website and know who someone is that's on the board. Once you're in this work, when it comes to organizing, activism, and canvassing, your reputation spreads. So in the political canvassing work for me, I have to be low key because there's always someone that's trying to deter what we're doing. I am one of 2 Black-owned canvassing companies in the country. When I started this company, there was only 1. I was the first. Now there's only 2. So the people who don't want the work done that we do will do whatever they can to infiltrate your organization, give it a bad reputation, leave whatever they can do to discredit what you're doing to keep people from wanting to fund what you do. So I have to stay grassroots with my media connects in that aspect in regards to green leaf canvassing because it's such sensitive work. However, with my other business, all my businesses are completely different from each other. With my wellness coming with Earth Essentials, I have to stay on top of social media. As my friend would say, I need to make money in my sleep. In order to do that, I have to be reaching people at all times. And I'm like you, I'm horrible. So therefore I pay someone else to do it. I can't keep up. I'm too busy. I can't do it. But I try to post every day. Someone is always contacting me. There's always messages. They're always looking for videos. I think I get more sales through Instagram and Facebook than I do through the actual website itself. So if someone would call me, can you all put this together? Can you do this? Do you all do this? Can you tell me more about that? And so I try to, I'm even now lately, I woke up this morning, I said, I need to put a little small facts out on social media. So everybody now wants to be healthy because of COVID. So we put little small facts out for people to read just to stay relevant and catch people's attention. And that was something I just said this morning I need to start doing. So it's extremely important now, especially with the younger crowd, different generation. It's a digital world. And being a digital world, people go to Google first. First thing you go Google and then to social media. So if you're not relevant through those aspects, you're not relevant. And so therefore you have to be in the know, and in the know is now through social media.
All right. So sounds like Miss Monica and Miss Fiona are talking about making sure you maintain a healthy presence on social media and filtering, making sure who you interact with is worthy of your time and attention so that they don't taint your brand or taint what you're trying to do in that space. What are your thoughts, Farmer? How are you utilizing social media these days?
Well, social media was a part of the work that I had to do at the Heat. I worked with the social media department. I was in charge of our web services. But long story short, first of all, before I continue, do I sound okay? Can everybody hear me well?
It is a little spotty, and I'm not sure what it is because some moments you are just fine, and then it'll go to little rough patches. So go ahead and continue.
Yeah.
If you see me wave or something, then we'll fix it as we go.
Okay. All right. Got you. So anyway, social media, the important part of social media, what makes social media work best is the data that you're receiving, the data that you're utilizing, and you're connecting to specific audiences. And what you're trying to do is look at or analyze the traffic to your social media sites to see who the people are that are viewing you, and then target your messaging and target your content towards those people specifically. So that's probably the most valuable part of social media. So then you're not worried about broadcasting to just a random group of people. A lot of times what you're doing or your posts will show up for people that are tailored specifically to the message that you're trying to get out. Now, sometimes you will have to utilize some additional resources to make that happen and to make that attempt sharper. But with that said, it's a fantastic tool to use to reach the people that you want to reach and to get the message out that you need to get out.
Perfect. We got that loud and clear, and he's throwing another piece out there in terms of who's your clientele, who are you trying to get the attention of? Be specific in your approach. Thanks for sharing that. Dr. Kelly, a former car guy, I understand that world a little bit. So, tell us your thoughts and ideas around social media right now.
Well, I always say that if I was a young guy at 15 or 16 years old, and I had this thing right here, this phone, and 7 years old, I would be a millionaire. Because when we start talking about networking, there was always a gatekeeper. With this phone, there is no gatekeeper. And what I like to say about the whole deal with Mr. Farmer, Miss Gibbs, and I'm gonna say her name wrong. She gonna shoot me, Miss Shivers. I know I beat it up.
Miss Fiona,
Fiona, she knows that's my girl. But what I would like to say about what everybody said is that right now in this country, right now, the ultimate networking tools that we have right now will allow everybody to get to who they want to get. Never before, never ever before. I am doing the Black Business Expo. We have 100 speakers, and most of my speakers I got from LinkedIn. All I did was went up there and asked them, would you like to speak to um, um, help kids get scholarships and some money for college? And that was it. And people just poured in and just came to me, and I didn't have to pay anybody. And I think one of the key pieces to what was said, I hope people was listening, is earlier one of the panelists say that they're not good at it. I'm not great at it. Pay somebody to handle your social media, because that social media piece is just so valuable. There's a gentleman by the name of Gary Vanderchuck, and Gary talks about 64 ways to do social media every day. And you got to ask yourself a question. If there are 64 ways to do social media every day, and you're in business and you're competing, why aren't you utilizing these tools? And I'll be honest with you, I love it. I mean, it's easy for me because I'm a people person, and a lot of times people say that even though I'm an older man, that seems like I'm ahead of the curve. Well, the only reason that I can be ahead of any curve is to keep learning. Every day I try to learn. I look at all the sites. You know, we got Clubhouse just jumped off. A lot of people are jumping on Clubhouse, but if you got an Android phone, you can't get on Clubhouse. People don't think about those kinds of things, you know. But at the end of the day, if you want to earn a living, and I talk about that money, young people, and I know the young people are out there. If you want to earn some real money, just go on YouTube and ask the question. Go on Google, ask the question. It may not sound like it's networking, but it is the ultimate networking in the country today.
All right, man. Wonderful. So listen, my time is almost up. We're going to reach a moment where we're doing a little transition. And Dr. Kelly, I know you're ready to put on another hat. You got plenty of them. So I know you're ready to wear another one. But before we get out of here, please make sure that you share your information so that the moderator can put your websites on the ticker at the bottom of the screen and people can come find you. But to summarize this wonderful hour we've spent together, almost an hour, I'm going to come around and I'm going to ask you guys to impart some words of wisdom. I'm not going to relegate it just to the youth or the young folks. There are people that are functional and desiring to get into certain doors that you've already been through and to understand better how to navigate certain spaces. So with networking in mind, leave us with a few words of wisdom for somebody that's watching. I'll begin with you, Dr. Kelly.
Well, what I would like to leave with anyone that's watching is to keep learning and to keep learning and to keep learning. No matter how old you get, keep learning, keep looking. I have a quote that says, what you're looking for is looking for you. And I say that to people all the time. A lot of times we don't get what we want out of this planet or out of our existence here is because we don't ask the question why, and we don't listen. And so I would just basically say, if you're out there and you're thinking about networking or just in general, think about it from a perspective of you are your only competition. Open up your mouth and ask. And if you ask 9 times out of 10, if you continue to ask people, you will get an answer that you're looking for. And that's what I would say.
Well stated. Mr. Farmer, same question.
Well, I think Dr. Kelly touched on something very important there when he was talking about continuing to learn, especially when he was talking about social media. Mm-hmm. That's extraordinarily important to stay on top of any technical or tech side innovations, and it doesn't have to just be tech, just any innovations that are taking place in your business, keep learning. Like he said, it's very important. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm not up on as far as, like, for instance, I'm not on Clubhouse yet. And so I'm not in that space where there are hundreds of people and hundreds of opportunities that are taking place in Clubhouse that I'm just not exposed to right now. And, you know, the same could be said a long time ago about, say, Facebook or Twitter. And a lot of people, one thing that I pay attention to that not a lot of people do pay attention to is Reddit. And I'm not a big Reddit fan or Reddit head, but I've been on Reddit now probably for about 2 years, maybe 3 years. And there's a lot of valuable information on some of these platforms. And Reddit is a huge platform for people to be able to network. A lot of things that happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks in the stock market, that started on Reddit, and people know a little bit about that. But it's not just the last 2 or 3 weeks. People think that this GameStop and AMC stuff was the beginning of that, and it wasn't. The beginning of it was even before Tesla blew up. Tesla was blowing up off of the same people, the same trade, same things that were going on. And that happened, well, you're talking about 6, 7, 8 months ago, to the point where, you know, you're looking at $800 stock that just a few years ago. And that's after it split. Getting too technical, my point being that that staying on top of everything, continuing to learn, like Dr. Kelly said, is an important part of networking.
Wow, wonderful. I hear some don't have any fears in there, and I also hear pay attention to just about everything. Miss Gibbs, if you can, some words of wisdom for somebody that needs them.
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to show up. Sometimes we hear people say, you know, why do I need to go? Or I don't know anybody, or this is not my thing. Everywhere I've gone, every place that I've been has always given me another opportunity. And don't be afraid to show up alone. I've shown up to places, a stranger, or places where I haven't known anybody in the room, and walked away with some awesome things, from, sitting in the room with presidents to speaking in the governor's mansion. All of these opportunities came from me just showing up. And so I would say, you know, how else do you serve if you're not going to show up? And so the way you show up is really for you. It's not, you don't have to wait for a crowd to be with you or friends. That's another part of networking that you have to learn. Like, you got to get out there and go. You can't wait for anybody. If there's an opportunity, go and show up. And so those are my words of wisdom.
Be fearless. Again, that's running rampant in these closing moments for me anyway. Miss Fiona, take us home, or take me home with some words of wisdom.
Well, I'm going to go with this one from a different angle. 2 things. One, never be presumptuous. Never assume. Never assume that this person doesn't have anything to contribute to you based on how they look, who they are, where they come from. And another important thing is we need to network within our network also. I get tired of hearing people say, well, I don't know any Black people that do this. I don't know any Black companies that do that. Call me. I can run off 10 of them for you right now. You know, I get phone calls every single day asking me, do I know a Black owned this or someone who does that? Who can I call for this? We must network within our community, meaning Black community as well, because we have the highest circulating dollar that is given outside of us. So if we network with amongst ourselves, we'll discover us on this panel. A lot of us didn't know each other, and what we offer and what we can bring to the table to help others as well, where we don't have to generate that dollar outside of our community. We can just find what we're looking for right here within. So never assume, don't ever assume someone doesn't have anything to contribute, and look within your own community first.
Wonderful. Great words to end my portion of the show on. Grown Folks Business is all about edification, and this has been a wonderful collaboration, alignment with Black Empowerment Week, and I'm so grateful to have been in the presence of some wonderful people. I appreciate you all for being here. I want to say the names, even though because I wrote them down, because right now, thank you for moving the words from the screen so I can see everybody's name. No? Yeah? Okay. Dr. Kelly, Miss Gibbs, Miss Fiona, and Mr. Michael Farmer. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
evening. Enjoy the rest of everything that you do this evening. And I really appreciated the moments in time with you guys. Have a good one.
And of course, as we get ready to transition, we're going to have a business spotlight that's going to be coming up shortly. And of course, after the business spotlight, we'll be back. And I like to introduce, I don't have the paper on the young man yet, but I like to introduce to everybody Leek Barnett. Hey,
What's
Leek,
up?
how's it going?
It's all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. It's me and my brother up here.
What type of business do you guys have? And talk a little, and then you guys can go ahead and present. But tell everybody the type of business that you have first.
All right. Yeah, we got a clothing line. We've been in business for about 5 years now. It'll be 5 exactly in June.
And what is the name of that business?
Born 100 Clothing.
So what is Born 100 Clothing about, man?
Over here, we really more about being real, being loyal, and standing for something. Like, we way more than just a brand. Like, we ain't gonna say we know lifestyle, but it's way more than just a brand.
And of course, you guys have a presentation that y'all want to do at this point.
We just wanted to pull our website up.
Okay.
Born100clothing.com.
Okay, I'm gonna get out of here, and guys, take it away. Okay.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you pull the website up for me? Born100clothing.com. But I guess I'll just keep talking while you pulling that up. But yeah, like I said, we've been in business for about 5 years now. We originally from Reedsville, North Carolina. We located in Charlotte now, but I mean, we be back and forth. Like, our main focus is just our website. We pushing it, born100clothing.com. Yeah, here we go right here. Yeah, so that's our website right here. You can scroll down, show a little bit what we offer. This is our newest drops right here for Black History Month. Give me a couple of the shirts here. Yeah, we got a couple of them right here. Then that sweatsuit, you can stop right there. The Born 100 spine, the fleece tracksuit, that's one of our newest pieces right there. Got it right here too. We ship, we deliver, however you want to do it. We pull up in 336 area, 704. We be back and forth like every week. But yeah, you can keep going down, showing different categories. We offer men clothes, women clothes, kids. Like, we got windbreakers, face masks. Like, the face mask was a big hit when the pandemic first broke out. They was loving the face mask and the face shields. But we offer a whole lot of everything, honestly, man. From hats, shirts, leggings, sweatsuits. Like, we more so a sports brand. Like, that's what we push. A lot of sports, a lot of active clothes, something that you can feel good and look good at the same time. So yeah, like I said, we offer the kids. Go back up and hit the kids category. Show them some of the kids' attire. Yeah, right there, the kids. Yeah, so we got the onesies, the baby shirts, the bibs, like a little bit of everything, honestly, man. Yeah, the hoodies. But yeah, you can go back. But on our website, we offer from small all the way up to 3X, 5X. Sometimes, like, it depends on what color you might be looking for. Some shirts go to extra small because I know some females like that tighter shirt. Most of our stuff is unisex, but Yeah, like I said, we all about being real. We wasn't born, we wasn't here to be perfect, but it's all about being real from the jump. But yeah, that's all. I mean, I got to talk about for real, honestly. You got any questions or anything for me, man?
Yes, of course. I'm glad they brought me back. You know,
Yeah.
want to know, how did you guys get started? I mean, how did you just get started?
All right, I'll let my brother tell that part.
Okay. We had just got a haircut like regular day, leaving from the barbershop. We leaving. Me and bro, we walking. I'm like, bro, I got an idea. Like, I got a plan. Like, we can make something happen. Like, a business idea. Like, bro, what's the idea? What you trying to do? What you got planned? I'm like, bro, born 100. Born 100. He like, bro, born 100. Bro, that's it. Like, instantly got on his phone. Like, yeah, bro, that's it, bro. Like,
Yeah. So it's kind of going back into like what the subject was about today, just networking. Like I was in college at the time,
yeah.
so I was like, I'm gonna reach out to some people and figure out like how, because we didn't know nothing about nothing at the time. Like I just reached out to different people, started talking. They told me like how I could get my logo digitized, how I could get my first shirts done, whatever. And like we didn't just grew from there. Like honestly, like that's how the money tree kind of came apart. Like it was just an idea out the blue, and we was coming from nothing and just growing. So that's where the money tree kind of comes in. Like we just growing, and the money, like you said, money, like that's what everybody want. The money's coming, like, so we just growing from here.
Now, when you guys think about how far you've gone, you know, what would you tell other young men or young women to do in terms of getting into business? Because a lot of times we hear that business is so hard, and nobody says that business is, because nobody's talking about the real work that you guys have to do. But what would you say to some young people who are thinking about getting in business?
Man, honestly, I would just say never expect nothing from anybody. Like when you come into the business and you start your business, you're gonna say, oh, all my friends gonna buy this, all my family members gonna buy this. Like it never goes that way. Like at the end of the day, people respect like how consistent you are, how serious you take the game at the end of the day. Like we've been doing it for like 4 years. Like the people that's around us really just now grasping on to what we had going on because they didn't take us serious at first.
I think a lot of times people think it's an overnight success, but what you're saying is that you guys have been relentless and been working steadily to make this dream that you have become a reality.
Yep.
Now, do you guys use a lot of social media?
Yeah, most definitely. Like Facebook, Instagram, those are go-tos, honestly.
Well, we talked about networking earlier. What is your website and your email so that people can reach out to you? I know your website, www.born100clothing.com, is going to go across the bottom of the screen. Do you have an email or a number that you want to give to people so they can contact you in terms of what you're doing?
Yeah. My email is just leak1221@gmail.com. Like you can send any custom orders, whatever you want, or you can just hit us up on Instagram, born100_clothing. I'm about to say the website, born100_clothing. Like you can just hit us up on Instagram. Facebook is just born100 clothing. You can message us, whatever. Like if you ever go to the website, don't see something that you are a different color and you want to hit us up and try to get a custom, we can do it. We can make it happen.
Now, do you guys hire graphic artists or any other people to work with you, or who's the artist behind the work that you're doing?
Yeah, like I mean, when I came up with the logo, I was just in the shower and the idea hit me. Like that's when some of my best ideas come. Like when I'm just chilling, spaced out. So most of the time in the shower, like that's when my mind's just free. So when I come up with the idea, I'll write it down and then hit people. Like, yeah, I got graphic designers, people that I tag team with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, most of the stuff, like the simple designs and stuff, is like in house. We'll come up with that ourselves. Just basic letter in different fonts, but like the difficult stuff, we'll have to reach out to a graphic designer and get them to do it.
So how important is a team? I know you and your brother work together, but how important is team in making decisions for profits?
Yeah, it most definitely, like, it plays a big part in it. Like when we go out, like we do giveaways and stuff back to the community, like every Thanksgiving. So I mean, yeah, our team play a big part in that because we wouldn't be able to do it and make it happen by ourselves.
Well, guys, I want to thank y'all for being on. It looks like I'm getting ready to switch over to another great entrepreneur, and I think it's just awesome when we see the young men who are out here doing it and making it happen. For those of you who have not had a chance to go to the website, I know you're watching. Let's go to the website tonight. But the most important part about going to the website tonight, let's go and buy some things from these young men. You know, let's go and buy. I'm going to buy something. Let's go and buy. Guys, I'm going to go to your website and buy something. And I want to encourage everybody to continue to help you guys continue to do what you do, because we want you to be as big as any company in the world. Any last statements?
Man, just appreciate you. Appreciate y'all for reaching out to me and letting me be on here, man. And shout out to Reedsville, man. Keep supporting us, man. We love it.
Thank you so very much, guys.
All right, man.
Well, of course, as I keep moving on, this guy has, do you need a website? You're talking about advertising. You're talking about working overtime. Man, you're working overtime. I want you to know it. Hey, Derek, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Dr. Kelly?
Everything's pretty good. Now, you know, for those who don't pay attention to what's going on in the inside when you are watching somebody, I see you got the board over there on the side. So I know you've been writing the numbers and writing everything down. You got the thing across the front. Man, I don't know who I'm dealing with. I just don't know.
Hey, I'm just a guy in your world. I'm just here in your world.
Well, tell everybody, first of all, the name of your company. And once you give the name of your company, then go right into your presentation, okay? And again, we really thank you for being here today. And I know you're going to share something with us that's going to make us not only think, but make us inspired.
I appreciate it, Dr. Kelly. So I am Derek Harrison Jr. I guess Reedsville is taking over tonight because I'm also from Reedsville. Brother Malik, he and I went to school together, played football together. So I'm feeling at home here. I appreciate you guys for having me on NC 100. Thank you, Mike Harris, for inviting me and sharing the information with me. Dr. Kelly, I'll be on speaking at your expo also, I think next week or whatever that date was.
It's next week, and I already knew. I didn't want to spoil it for you. I already knew. But that goes to show that when you're out here in business doing business, you got to be on the pulse of everything, because here you go, you're doing this week. Next week, you're going to do 40 minutes, almost an hour on my show. And as a matter of fact, we're going to feature you on our platform, because we're doing 4. We do one every quarter. So we're looking forward to the great things that you do. You take it away, okay?
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm Derek, like I said, with Olam Sites. We are a web design agency. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where the agency was started. So what we do is, of course, we build websites, but the reason we do it is because you might not believe this, but there are a lot of small business owners that don't have a website. In 2021, I don't know how or why, but they don't. Then you've got other business owners that maybe they have a website, but the website, quite frankly, is crappy looking. So what we do is we help those businesses improve that online presence with the website. And we do it in a process that's simple, fast, and affordable. So that's pretty much it. You know, we build a website that business owners need, and we keep it fast, simple, fast, and affordable, because we don't want to be out online with a crappy website, because that's where everybody shops now. They're not coming to your doorstep. They're going to your website first. And if that doesn't look good, they're bouncing. And that's it, Dr. Kelly. That's the whole spiel for me.
Now, Derek, it's got to be more to what you do than that. You know, here you go. You the guy. You do the websites. Talk a little bit about your process. You know, when a client comes to you, you know, how do you attack what they're doing? Let's just say that they have a website. How do you talk to them in a manner where they're not insulted by them not understanding what they need to have to be successful? How do you handle that?
Yeah, no, I get a lot of those clients, and I don't approach a situation like that. But after the fact, a lot of our clients have left reviews saying, "Hey, Derek made me feel like I wasn't so stupid. He understood. He kind of taught and educated me." And that's pretty much it. I understand that the position, the brand position of Olam Sites is to help small business owners, most of whom do not have the knowledge in website and online marketing, or they're just getting started with it. So I always approach the conversation in a teaching sort of way, helping them to understand the importance of what we're talking about, and what exactly, if I talk about SEO, they're like, what is SEO? It's search engine optimization. And I'll explain the importance, and which pretty much is a fancy way of saying making sure people see you on Google. So I always talk my clients through the processes and the importance of what we're doing, and keep them comfortable and feeling like, hey, he's holding my hand through this. He's not looking down on me or anything like that, right?
Okay, now in the chat box, we want you to put the name of your company and your website. What is your website so that people can know where to go as we're having this conversation?
Absolutely. So it's olamsites.com. I did just drop that link in the comments on the Facebook Live there. So feel free to visit our website to learn more about what we do. Yeah, I mean, for me, one big tip I wanted to definitely share with you guys is the importance of running a business versus a hustle. And we've got a blog post coming out about that soon on the website, so stay tuned for that. But a lot of small businesses get what I call stuck in running a hustle. And a hustle is, you just doing what you need to do to make the money. But a business truly is, in a book I read, I can't remember what book it was, but a business is a system that can run without you being there. That's a business. And part of getting to that, the first step, I believe, in getting to that system that is a business is having a solid website. So I encourage people to definitely focus on putting systems together if they're trying to form a business, so that you can get a business that actually works for you rather than you working for the business.
Okay, now you've told me a little bit about, you're going to hold my hand a little bit to carry me through the website. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm coming to you with, let's just say, a budget. What have you seen to be, the kind of dollars that somebody would need to at least have? Because I think a lot of times what happens, people are fear of talking about money. And I believe that if you talk about money and get it out the way, then everybody can get on the same page. I truly believe, I remember when I opened up my advertising agency, our first slogan was, what's in it for you, not what's in it for me. And we believe if we gave you what you wanted, then you would give us what we wanted, and we didn't have to worry about price. So can you talk a little bit about, some of the pricing that is entailed in terms of a new website?
For sure. Again, our brand position is being affordable for small businesses, and our prices reflect that, and our prices are transparent. They're on our website. So a standard classic website where you're looking at typically thousands of dollars, it's $600. And that's a 5-page classic website. Now we also have what's called a starter website for people that are just getting started. And they're like, hey, listen, I have a really small budget. I just need to get a website out there so that the business can look professional. It's $175. It's a 1-page site. So those are our standard pricings. And of course, depending on what you want, any add-ons, we can add on to it if you want special integrations, but very affordable websites.
So most people can get you to do a one-page website. Is that a landing page, or is this just a page that I can go to? How does that work?
So it would be a website essentially, but it would be one page. So it could operate as both. So you could use that one page as a landing page, or it could just be you have a website that's a one-page site.
So what is a landing page? I know I threw it out there, but some people may not know what a landing page is. Some people may not even understand what a one-page site is, because a lot of times when you start talking about a one-page site, many people probably are sitting at home and not understanding that one page could be a one long page.
Yeah. So a landing page typically is what you refer to as something that you're using within an ad campaign. So if you're running ads on social media or ads on with what's called pay-per-click, the Google ads, you use landing pages for that. And that's kind of a term we've created in the industry. And what that is when a person sees that ad and they click, they land on that page. So that's why it's called a landing page. Now, the website, we offer what's called a one-page website. It looks the same visually, but essentially what that means is a page on a site. So if you go to a website in the top, you see home, about, services. Each of those tabs typically is a page. So that's essentially what you're thinking about. So if you click home, that's a page, and that's the one page we're talking about.
Well, when you begin to talk about websites, and I really want to dig just a little bit deeper so that people can understand that a lot of times we get a lot of information about websites, and people come to you, they say a website's going to be $2,500, it's $100 a page, and then you come on and say that you can do a basic website for $600. When people start talking about these websites that cost that kind of money, they're generally talking about a website that has video on it, a lot of images on it, and talk a little bit about the differences between the types of websites that are out there.
For sure, a lot of those higher ticket websites, we do that. We build 2,500 plus websites, but those typically are coming with lots of bells and whistles, lots of advanced features. But if you don't need a lot of those advanced customized visuals and features, then you get the bare bones, which gets the job done. And that's what we're focusing on, again, is being able to provide what's needed to the small business owners, and then we can grow from there.
Well, I wanted to get into that because a lot of times people don't understand the whole website deal because of fear. And do you guys do any seminars and workshops about your company and what you do?
Not yet, but that's in the works. That keeps getting plugged into my ear. Like, you've got to get some webinars out there. Got to do some things like that. So that's in the works. So we'll be working on some things like that for sure.
Well, what's your website again? Would you spell it out so that people can write it down and give them an email so that they can reach out to you? Absolutely.
So the website is olamsites.com. That's OLAM sites, SITES.com. And you can reach me. Actually, if you go to the website and you click contact, you'll go to the contact page, and the email address is there. So feel free to reach out to us, and I'm happy to have a conversation.
Well, I can't let you go without asking you two more questions. And the first one is, who inspired you to start your own business and why?
That's interesting. I had role models growing up. My dad was a business owner, uncles. So I've had that kind of that figure in front of me. So it didn't seem too far-fetched. But what triggered it was the real world, when you're applying for jobs and you're not getting. And I said, bump it. I'll put the effort that I'm putting into trying to work for somebody else into my own business. And that's what triggered it. So of course they set the mold, and they set the example for me. And then the real world put the fire under my butt.
That is awesome. And what would you say to young people, or what would you say to people in general about starting a business, being in business, and talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges that you've had in business? Yeah, for sure. So I would say just do your research first. It's not hard. It's no harder than getting up and going to work a regular job, a 9 to 5. It takes effort and it takes discipline. Discipline is the biggest piece.
And as it relates to time and also effort, and before you start the business, doing the research, asking questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions. If you see somebody that could be a mentor figure that's already done it, learn from them, because they can definitely tell you what to and what not to do. That's the biggest thing. And then once you get that information, you've gathered the research, just hit the ground running and don't stop. And the three key words I wanted to say is be persistent, be adaptive. Because a lot of times things will happen. You say, oh crap, it's not working. Oh, should I just go quit and go work wherever? Should I give up? No. You just adapt. We started off as a digital marketing agency, doing a lot of stuff. We adapted, focusing on social media ads. Never focused 100% almost on websites. And then the last thing is be happy. So be persistent, be adaptive, and be happy. Don't find yourself doing something just because you think I got to make $1. You end up chasing $1 and you look behind you and realize you really haven't made it anywhere because you've been focusing on the wrong thing. Just make sure what you're doing keeps you happy. And that's it.
Well, I could talk to you for hours and hours on a day because, I enjoy talking about money because that's what it's about. It's closest thing to air. And for those who get mad at me tonight for saying it, that's on you. That's not on me. So thank you for being on the show. I look forward to the great things that you're going to continue to do. And we'll see you on the other side.
All right, Dr. Kelly, I appreciate it.
And as we transition, I believe we're going back to the panel and we're going to talk about networking again. We might bring some other people up, but I'd like to bring the panel back to ask a couple of questions. Hey, Monica, how you doing?
Okay, is that better?
Yes, indeed. Hey, Fiona, how you doing?
Okay.
Let's just talk. Looks like the guys have left, and I got the brilliance, the beauty and the brilliance is still here. So I want to talk from a woman's perspective in terms of what are the obstacles that you ladies run into when you're out here and you're looking to network, and sometimes people are looking to just talk to you as women in a way that's not business. And talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure from time to time that does happen. We'll start with you, Monica.
Okay, I think for me, sometimes we're underestimated on what we can bring to the table or our knowledge. And so I know with showing up the first time, you'll get looks or you'll get people that may brush you off until you start to speak, and then they figure out that you may know a little something, or you know somebody, or you have something that they may need, and then they tend to listen. So that has happened for me, just being underestimated. Or the best part is like seeing those same people again when you're sitting on a platform somewhere and they're in the other position, and then they see you again, and it's like, okay, some things you don't have to say, and some things come back full circle. Those are great, always great moments for me. But yeah, that's been my experience. It's just being underestimated sometimes.
Fiona?
Well, Monica hit the nail on the head with that one. I always find it amusing. One thing that I get a lot, not just for being a woman, but having a partner that's a man, they tend to direct the conversation to him. Where, in my case, he's more the silent partner, and I'm the one. I'm the busy bee of the partner. Everything that was put together, that goes on the back end, that's actually my job, and it's his job to keep everybody happy. But when the intricacies of the business and we're having a meeting, the first thing they do is look at him and look directly at him. And he's like, well, you're going to have to ask Fiona about that, because that's actually her line of business. So I find that amusing. And I also find it amusing where people assume that I'm too young to know what I'm talking about, or that I don't have enough lived experience to be in the position that I'm in, or to do the work that I'm doing, not even knowing exactly how old I am. So I get that very often.
Well, you noticed earlier we talked about networking, and I wanted to ask the question, and both of you can respond. In your estimation, who is the ultimate networking person that you know of, and what attributes did they have or do they have that allows you to see what networking truly is all about? Fiona?
Do I get kudos if I say Mr. Kelly? Do I get kudos for saying Mr. Eric Kelly? But no, for real, you, Mr. Kelly, you know everybody. Everyone knows you. You know everyone. And you do, when you're in a room, you speak to everyone. Whether or not you choose to have some type of business relationship with them, you know how to direct people to them if they are in need of their service. And I notice that. I see that. And I admire that as well. You're on mute. Can't hear you.
I was asking, I don't want to redirect that question one more time to you. I was asking anybody else that you know of who really inspires you and gives you that, you know, sometimes you can see somebody that's doing the networking thing. Anybody else that you can talk about, and of course, talk about how they do it that helps you to understand what networking is.
On a personal level,
Mm-hmm.
that person would have been my grandfather, actually, who's no longer here. But he's that person who people would say never knew a stranger, you know. So whenever he walked into a room, he was always greeted. Everyone always knew him. If he ever needed anything, someone always was willing to do it for him. Very seldomly did he have to even pay for anything, because not only did he network, but he offered himself as a service. And everywhere that I went with my grandfather, may he rest in peace, he was known. He knew people, and there was never a want if we ever needed something because of that. And I watched him growing up, and it was always a smile. He was always respected. And he always greeted people with a smile as well. Always greeted by name. He made sure to remember everyone's name. And he would always ask about their family to make it personal, to establish that relationship with them. So you're not just the person that I see when I come in the store, but you are Tony, who has a daughter named Carol, and she's 2. So that was important to people to see that. And I mimicked that behavior. I got that from him, and I mimicked that behavior. And it pays.
Ms. Gibbs?
So I think I spoke to this earlier. For me, it's been there's been a combination of different people in my community, but one lady that comes to mind, her name is Dawn Baldwin Gibson. And Dawn is just an awesome, she's an educator for starters. But I learned from her that you don't just have to wear like one hat. She's a teacher. She started a school a couple of years ago. My kids were able to go and learn from her. It was an all-Black private school where she pulled in it's like global studies. She runs a nonprofit at the same time and a church, and just in the community is able to get any program that she gets going. She's got people from all over the place on her panels. Anytime she hosts an event, she's just so well connected. You never know who you're going to meet when you go there. I mean, city officials, state officials, White House officials. The kids were able to talk to John Lewis over telecom before he passed away. I mean, just so there's an endless list of people that she is connected to. And so just watching her and seeing her be able to not only be an educator, but to do all these different things and be able to serve the community in multiple ways, that really inspired me to do what I'm doing. And then I learned a lot of networking skills from her as well. So her name again is Dawn Baldwin Gibson.
Quick question, Monica. I know Miss Gibson. Are you from that area?
I am from her county. I'm from Pamlico County.
You are from Pamlico County. My family's from Craven County.
Okay, so we got to connect. So I know their area well because I served the entire region and all up and down the coast on different appointed seats for many years. And so that's my area. That's where That's where I'm from. Those are my roots. And
I know Miss Gibson and her family.
252. Yes.
252. That's right.
Well, for those of you who just watched that interaction, that was networking. That was networking at its finest. And I think sometimes people think networking is so convoluted and it's so hard. Networking is opening up your mouth and speaking to somebody and finding out something about somebody, finding a common interest. Now, ladies, I know this is not on the schedule, but you know I'm an off-script kind of guy. Ms. Gibbs, talk about your company, what your company does, the name of your company, the website. Give me not the elevator pitch. Give me the, hey brother, this is what I do pitch.
So I got my start in PR. I started off doing media relations and helping nonprofits and ministries and people with small businesses promote themselves in the media. I have a journalism background, went to UNC Chapel Hill, majored in TV and radio, and then figured out that there weren't many people putting people that look like us or grassroots organizations or people that were doing the good work of the community in the spotlight. So there was a gap there. So I was able to fill it, started volunteering, and within a year had over 12 clients of people who had nonprofits, like I said, small businesses, authors that needed exposure. And so I worked to get them out there during the same time, sitting on many boards, serving the community. In 2018, I got registered to lobby because what I started realizing is as I was running different political campaigns, that after the elections go away, there was a space where there was no interaction between the elected official and the communities. And so serving as a liaison sometimes, going in and talking to elected officials and just saying, hey, this is what this community is missing. This is what they need in New Bern. This is what they need in Pamlico. You know, we need to hold, you all accountable for what we elected you to do. And so I knew getting registered to lobby would give me the advantage of going into the General Assembly and being able to do this work on another level. And like Dr. Kelly said earlier, and also making money, because he likes to talk about money, so Gibbs Public Affairs was birthed out of that, just by love for legislative affairs and helping create fair policies. I do a little bit of media relations still in the form of press releases. I don't do a lot of setting up media meetings as I used to, or just come away from it. And I'll help promote community projects that are focused on engagement, anything with organizing or working a campaign. So that's pretty much what I do. I do have a website. I don't know if they have it, but it's www.monicargibbs.com. And you can get an idea of the services that I offer, and then a longer bio of some of the things that I've done. So that's pretty much what I do.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get it in. People can say networking is just two people talking, but networking is getting that information out. Fiona, talk a little bit. I know you have several businesses, but I want you to break it down for people to understand why you have so many businesses. Some people like to label people as just one individual, and this is just one thing that you can do. Now, I'm ambidextrous. I draw with both hands. And I tell people all the time that you have to use both sides of your brain just to be happy. And while we talk about business, and I can talk about business all day, I can still talk about my artwork, and that's another side. So talk about why you have so many businesses. But while you're doing that, please break down each one of these businesses so that people will know exactly what you do.
For sure. Okay, so I would say that starting off my beginning years in college as a side hustle, I would sell skincare products that I made for myself. I grew up with a grandmother who made tinctures, who made soaps. Never went to the doctor unless it was a bone broken or it required an overnight stay. and salves, everything. And I grew up seeing this. I spent every summer in Carolina before I moved here. And I grew up seeing this, and she grew everything. Both sets of my grandparents were farmers. They grew everything. My hands were in the dirt from the beginning of time that I can remember. So to me, that was a natural way of life. So I was never one who bought over-the-counter drugs and products. I always made my own things based on the fact that my grandmother always made her own things. So in college, I found a way to help me make extra money. People would always see me with my little containers, or they would always ask me about my skin. Why does your skin look this way? What is that you're taking? What is that you're drinking? You know, what are those herbs that you got in the bag right there? You know, things trying to be sarcastic. And I'm like, you're picking, but that's why I don't get sick, you know? So when people would get sick or they have skin conditions, they're like, well, Fiona, do you know what I can take or what I can use, or what is it that you use? And I was giving these things away to people. And I realized that I was paying for them to get well. And I was like, no, I'm not going to keep doing this. So if people are going to, you know, continuously come to me for these things, I'll do it as like a little side job. And I did. I was a vendor, and I was selling these products from my home. People wanted things. They would call me. I would make them, and I would go to houses and have parties like they do with Mary Kay or whatever, whoever, home parties. And eventually what happened is it spread so much that I now had to offer these services in a more professional manner. So I decided, while I'm doing this veterinary program in school and I'm making these products for animals, I'm making them for people, I would like to market that on a professional level to get more money in. So I say, you know what, I'm going to take a couple of weekend courses and in business to see what it is I don't know. You know, you never know what you don't know until you find out. So I took a couple of classes at Wake Tech, some weekend Saturday courses at Wake Tech, and found out that I knew nothing in relation to business that I thought I knew. And as I took one course, I realized there was another course I wanted to know, and it was something else that I should know. And that began to snowball as well. So as I was ending my studies at NC State, and I'm now working in the veterinarian field, I'm picking up these skill sets because I'm working in a holistic animal hospital. I'm doing acupuncture. I'm doing tinctures with animals now, learning from someone who's an educator in this, pretty much as an apprenticeship with the learned knowledge that I had picked up from my grandmother and I've been doing myself. Now I'm taking these business courses and I'm hooked. They're like, well, if I'm going to have my own hospital, then I want to know every aspect, even though I'm going to hire someone else to do it. I want to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing correctly. And I ended up deciding I wanted a degree in business. And that degree turned into a multitude of business degrees. Everything was so intriguing to me in the facet of business, where I discovered that life itself is business. And no matter what field I was going to go into, I needed to know all of these things. So I acquired that educational study in business. And once I did that, I realized I didn't want to work for anyone. I no longer wanted to work. I no longer wanted to work in this veterinary hospital where I was making the owner of this hospital rich, where I was diagnosing these patients and these senior doctors were getting all the credit for it. And it was not mine. And I'm the little black girl who comes in to triage and tell you what to go home with and describe your medicine to you. So I wanted to be my own entrepreneur. So I started my own, at that time, pet sitting company, because I had built relationships through networking with the people that had came in through the veterinary hospital. And I had Earth Essentials. I had given it a name. I now had a little website, and people knew me from vendoring. I was passing out my cards. I'm doing the African American Cultural Festival, any festival that I can come up with, from Eastern Carolina all the way to the Triad. You know, I was the go-to person for these certain little tinctures and salves and creams and whatnot. So in the midst of doing this, I got invited to a meeting. They're like, oh, you're Mother Earth. You like all things natural. Come to this meeting my girlfriend is hosting. It's about saving the earth and everything else. Well, I get to the meeting. It's not about saving the earth, but it is about climate justice. But what I found out in that meeting, that the people there, even though they were pulling me in under the umbrella of climate justice, it was about organizing. It was about political education. It was about getting people in the Black community abreast of these things that affect them the most, because they are the ones who are directly impacted. And I was hooked. So that is how I ended up in working in organizing and doing campaign, well, not building campaigns, organizing and social activism, working in this particular organization as first as a canvasser, and then later as a director, and then after that with my own program. And inside working as an employee, I found out how much money was given by people not of color to do work in communities of color, and how they will hire outside organizations that were not of color to hire people of color to do work in their own communities. And the way they were trying to sell this was not a relatable message where people wanted to stay intrigued. Just like Monica said, once the election over, there's a disconnect there. There's a disconnect from the politicians to the communities. We come swarming in during election time. Oh, go vote. This is important and blah, 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 blah. And then leave and take the money with us. And people are right back in the same situation that they were in prior to election. So what about that is wanting a person to stay engaged? So I had a manner in which I can relate to people and make it so they wanted to stay engaged and be a part of it, even if they weren't getting paid. I was providing food for people during the meetings. People are coming home from work. They're tired. They got to cook. They got their children. We're providing childcare. We're providing food. All you got to do is show up, hear what's going on, get a free meal, get free childcare. And then when it's done, you can go home and everybody can go to bed. So that was a plus. Just thinking in a manner that our people would think, to engage them, to want to have them stay engaged. And from there, after a couple of years of doing it, I said, you know what? I don't like the fact that these people give all this money to white organizations to do work with Black people. I'm going to be the vendor. I'm going to be the vendor, and I'm going to do work in my communities because I'm doing it now. You're just paying someone else to do it. I'm doing it now. So, and that is how Greenleaf Canvassing came about. So now I got Earth Essentials on the side. I stopped doing the pet sitting because I was just way too involved with doing the organizing and the social work and the camp. And that's how I know Dawn Baldwin Gibson, because I did hurricane relief work. And she and also some of her family came to actually work under me as a canvasser out of my Greenville office. And that's how Greenleaf Canvassing came about. And in the aspect of this nonprofit field, I saw how important it was that we as people, we as Black people, need a hub to go to help build us up in business. And that's how Sankofa Tree came about with the Black Business Co-op. And we actually have just been doing small need to know meetings. We haven't even done our exposure meeting yet, but people have been calling me off the hook to want to be a part of this cooperative, this Black cooperative. So that's soon come also. And with Earth Essentials, we've expanded so much. I went storefront August 1st in the midst of COVID. You've been there, Mr. Kelly. People want to get healthier now. So we expanded our product line and we're offering so many different things. I've been able to have major creative control. And now we're in Africa. We're in Africa growing our own herbs, own farms, and everything that I produce, I sell. So it's just the need to be free and to work for yourself is important. To have multiple streams of income is a must.
Well, I think for those who did not know what you just said, and Monica that did not know you about you ladies' business, I think this is a great opportunity, not only for them to know about you ladies, but to also support you ladies. Now, I got one question for both of you ladies. If you had to get a famous person on the line right now,
Oh my goodness.
and you only have 48 hours, who would that person be, Fiona?
Are we speaking in general or someone that I can actually get on the line?
We're speaking somebody you can actually get on the line.
Well,
the most famous.
There's only one famous person I can get on the line. That's Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. That's because he's my first cousin. Other than that, I would have to go semi-famous. I know some people with big bank, but they stay low profile. But when it comes to famous, that's the only famous person that I probably could work out on the line.
Monica?
I'll do somebody from the state, because it's going to be somebody in government or politics. I guess if I would say Judge. Let me think carefully, because I have so many people. Who could I?
Flex on us, girl. Flex on us.
This is a tough one for me. Do I have to name a person? Can I just say someone, maybe a congressman or somebody in the Senate?
You gotta give us a name.
Somebody on the
You got to give us a name.
Supreme Court.
You got to give us a name.
I guess I would say Mike Morgan. He's from New Bern. He's the only Black person and Black man on the North Carolina Supreme Court. And
we said somebody famous. We didn't say everybody got Mike's number.
Judge, wait. He's famous.
He is getting some trouble. And
ladies, I'm just joking because I know Mike very well.
Yeah, I had to relate it back to
look, I am gonna get a phone call because he's gonna say,
I'm gonna tell.
Look, he's gonna say, Eric, you were playing with my name in public. When you're playing with my name, he's good. He is a very astute lawyer, one of our crown jewels, one of the great people of North Carolina. On a serious note, I was just picking a little bit because I know you know more famous people than that too. We see we got Michael back. Mike, we don't know where you've been, man. You know, we got about 4 more minutes.
Yeah, I got caught on a phone call, so I apologize. We dipped out, and then I got on the phone, and next thing I know, 20 minutes have gone by.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask you who's the most famous person after I give you a chance to tell everybody about your business so people know exactly what you do so that in the event they need to reach out to you, they can.
Okay, so if you're asking me specifically about my business, I am I do not run a business as of right now. I got out of sports about 2 years ago, and I spent 1 year traveling, and I've spent the last year avoiding Corona. So I'm not in a specific business right now. I do dabble a little bit in digital marketing. I did, dabble a little bit in sports consulting, but right now I don't have a specific business. So that's where I am with that.
And now for the big question. Who is the most famous person that you can get on the line in the next 24 hours?
On the line is that's a good question. On the line, whose number do I have is one thing. Who can I get on the phone is another thing. I would say I don't think it would be impossible to get on the phone with Dwayne Wade or Pat Riley. I don't think it would be impossible, but it would not be easy. But it would not be impossible. So, yeah.
That is what we got this evening. I know y'all didn't ask me who I could get on the line. When I saw that question, I was trying to waver. I was trying to do like Monica was doing. I don't want to call no names because, when you start calling names, people say, oh, yeah, you know that person. And I was trying to not do entertainer. I was trying not to do a politician. And when people ask me the famous question, I know y'all going to say what y'all going to say, but I say the most famous person I could get on the line is my mama. And that's the most famous person for me. We're getting ready to get out of here. We got a couple of more minutes. Is there anything, Mike, that you like to say to young men and young women who are aspiring to not only be in business, but aspiring to be great networkers? Is there anything you like to say?
Nothing that I don't think any of us haven't already said. I think the panel's done an awesome job of describing their techniques and what the value of networking. So I don't have much to add beyond what I've already said, which is just, don't differentiate between executive vice president and a janitor. Make sure you keep your handshake open for everybody. Because you never know what will happen in the future. And that was one thing Tony Fiorentino, who was a radio broadcaster, he would always say, be nice to everybody because you just never know. So that applies.
And Monica, is there anything that you like to say? Everybody's going to get a chance to at least say something about this awesome event, Black Empowerment Week, that this group is putting on. It's really outstanding. It's something that we need. I'm looking so much forward to seeing them grow, because, you know, a lot of times when people are doing things like this, somebody's telling them what to say. We've had an opportunity tonight to kind of be free. Is anything you like to impart on people, Monica?
Did you say to the young people or just people in general?
Both.
I would say to the young people that are listening, it's never too early to get started. Like, start networking now. I wish that I would have learned how to network earlier, before college. Like, I think I would be so much further. I've hit some great accomplishments and seen some good numbers coming through, but I think I would have been like,
that's right,
a lot further if I would have listened and if I would have paid attention to who was around me and who was, you know, in certain circles and who I was sitting in rooms with. There were times where I let opportunities go because I just didn't understand the importance and the power of networking and the power of building relationships. So I would definitely say start now.
Fiona, give us something. I know you got it. I know you've been sitting there waiting to give it to us. You know, you're one of my people.
Be relational. Always be relational. You don't have to put on airs to network. Sometimes people are just looking for that fresh breath in the room of someone that they can simply relate to. And that is how I go about myself. And I stay professional, but I stay relational. I don't go in there bragging or talking in a lingo that is not indicative of the culture in which we're in. I like to speak to people in a way in which they can relate. I'm a messenger. When you're networking, you're the messenger. And it's your job to make sure that the person on the receiving end gets the message. And if they don't, then you got to take a look back at yourself.
Well, we know that the young man had to leave early, and for those out there who don't know, he's dealing with some family issues. He did an outstanding job earlier, and of course, the panel, you guys and ladies, and thank you, ladies, for being here with me when Michael kind of left me out here on the ledge by myself. But you know, it's all about fun. But thank everybody for being on this panel, and hopefully, Sean is ready to come up. And hey, Sean, how's it going, man? Hello?
Hey, how everybody doing?
Hey, Sean, how's it going? I know I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you. We're going to turn it over to you. I want to thank Monica Gibbs. I want to thank Fiona Shivers. Okay, Shivers. Michael Farmer. Thank you, guys. We're going to turn it over to Sean. Him and his organization are going to take it away. Want to thank Mark Lee. Want to thank all of the people behind the scenes and thank the team that's making this week possible. Thank you again.
First of all, I want to thank everybody who came out, supported us this week. I want to thank Miss Shivers. I want to thank Miss Gibbs. I want to thank Derek Harrison Jr. I want to thank Born 100, Portia Paris, NC 100. I want to thank everybody who showed us some support. Networking, we all have to do that so we can empower each other. Networking, I learned networking was very important within the last year. Didn't do much networking, but now I do. I want to thank everybody who reached out to us, donations, the vendors, panelists, moderators, everybody this week. I want to thank Portia Paris. I want to thank Dr. Merrill. I want to thank everybody who support us. If you haven't, go like the Black Empowerment page. You can go follow us on Instagram, Black Empowerment 365. I want to thank everybody who come out. And remember, we can empower each other, we can keep networking, and we can keep building each other up. Thank you.